So welcome again. Now we're talking about the scope of the variables. We have seen before that in the code that we created, we had different variables we declared, and we said if we declare a variable inside the function, it's considered a local variable. And here is what we're talking about. So local variables are those created within the method or the function or within the block. The block usually does start by curly brace and end by curly brace. Anything inside those curly braces is only part of the variable will be used only inside those. If you declare it inside, that's where it will be. But if you declare it as instant variable, which you declare it outside all the function, outside all the blocks you have, then it can be used by all functions or methods in your code. And the variable is used only after you declare it. So if you declare a variable in line 10 and you want to use it in line 2, you cannot, because in line 2 was not known. It started to be known and from line 10, and that's logical thing to follow. So we'll talk now about local and instant variable, and we'll make some modification to our previous code to make it work to explain the concept. So let's go back here and look at it. So let's start by this total. Now total is declared as a local variable. What if I come outside the main method inside the class, say after the class directly, and I say static total, semicolon. If I do that, I don't need this declaration here, and I do not need this declaration here. Sorry, this one. Why? Because now this variable is known everywhere. Yeah. But what type it is, you have to say double. So this variable now is known everywhere in your code, in your class, and can be used. And there will be no difference in the execution of your code. You will get exactly the same thing. Why? Because now total is declared outside and it can be used everywhere. They call it here instant variable. Okay, but mark here is not instant variable. It's only declared within this function. So if I, for example, come here and say print mark 1 and run this code, I'll get an error saying mark 1, I don't know about it, because the function main doesn't know about mark 1. It declared only inside the function calculate total. So why I'm referring to it here. So if I run that one, and you'll get the error, and you can see it's directly pointing to mark. Again, the solution could be is we move all this from here and put them there, and again add static to them. If I do this now and run the code and do 77, 88, 90, for example, see, I'm able to get mark 2, 88. Why? Because now again it became an instant variable that everyone can use. Same thing, mark 1, mark 3, mark 4. So this is important, the scope of your variable. These two curly braces are where the scope is, or the method or the function. Later you will see you have for loop as well, and you will have if statement, where those scope can be defined only within certain bracket and cannot be used outside that curly bracket. So the curly bracket or the method or the block that you're using is important. So you declare a function in a block, it can be used only in the block. If you want it to be used everywhere in the code, the one place you can put it is after the class and before the method. Should be outside or methods in your code. But you still also, this other way we can declare it inside the main function, But in this case, we need to pass it as parameters to the other function. We'll look at it in few minutes, and that will be the same thing. So let's do that. Now let's change our code and see how it will happen.